What do you mean I died? I was on land! Yeesh. You see this guy? Don't be this guy. This guy decided that playing Final Fantasy VII Rebirth on dynamic mode just wasn't enough suffering for one lifetime. I swear to fuck. So for this run, every enemy gets their HP tripled and their stats so buffed that every single encounter feels like swimming inside Satan's asshole. Oh, and I doubled the amount of enemies. Items? Get that shit out of here. We're banning those two.
According to local legend,
shut the fuck up, Chadley. For every like this video gets, we euthanize one Chadley. This game starts off a confusing mess. So it turns out what we saw in the end of the last one was a multiverse kind of thing. Zack is still very much fertilizer. But funnily enough, in the universe where he lives, Aerith, Tifa, Barret, and Red Wagon end up being the ones that push up daisies for a living. Or deathing, I guess? So right off the bat, I am as lost as Fibblethip and understood why people gave this game a load of shit that it initially deserved. Lost as Fibblethip I was, I began wondering if this game was even going to be worth it with how absolutely insane this was already shaping up to be. When one of the parallel timelines shone through me, you might even say, we aren't in Gaia anymore because we've landed smack dab in the world of Oz, brought to life by Raid's Teleria. You see, Raid is gearing up for their new event, The Echoes of Oz, that takes place a good few years after the events of The Wizard of Oz that everyone knows and loves. What we never saw was the witch had an unseen protege named Ozilda, pulled them into a parallel version of Teleria where she made the final call on everything. Well, I'm happy to say a childhood hero of mine and Dorothy Gale can be yours if you log into Raid Shadow Legends during the Dorothy Gale Chase event. Keep logging in after that for 7 days to make her an absolute monster that would have helped me get through Rebirth faster and easier. She shreds buffs off of enemies, then debuffs them to have the durability of wet paper for the rest of the team to just walk right through. And the rest of the Wizard of Oz crew gets even more benefits fighting alongside her, so you can just run a team of Oz characters and rip through things, culminating in a fight with Ozilda the Wicked as a limited time dungeon where you get the awesome chronophage gear among other rewards. See, I love turn-based games as evidenced by the rest of the output on the channel, and honestly, that's probably the biggest thing that surprised me about Raid. Going into this, I expected to just be clicking through, but there's actually a decent amount of strategy involved in figuring out what champions you want on your team and how you want them built. There's something I really enjoy about being able to look at a character and think, okay, how completely stupid can I make this build? And then actually having the game give me the tools to do it. Not to mention, as the resident expert on loving women who can kill him, I mean, have you seen some of these designs? God damn. And you don't even have to play PvP if you don't want to. The PvE mode is incredibly robust and engaging, letting you keep going, plus the game's always getting new content updates. So what are you waiting for? I have a link in the description and a QR code that's been on screen this whole time. Let's do a bit of scratching each other's backs. You'll get a huge starter pack with a free legendary champion, Narma the Returned, who is a pretty great support class to have on the team at any point in the game. And you can pick one of these 4 champions on screen now if you use the codes below. But remember, only one can be used. My picks go to either Alice the Wanderer with the code GETALICE because she's always broken in everything she's in, or the Cheshire Cat with code KITTYCUT. But my childhood fairy tale bias is showing. There's also Pelops the Victor with the code SUPERVICTORY and Grand Oak Padrig with code WRATH. And if you hit level 15, you'll also get the epic champion Chonoru from the Shadowkin factory to make even shorter work of enemies. And of course, don't forget to log in for 7 days to get the legendary Dorothy Gale. So you can scan my code and you get 3 legendary champions, 1 epic champion, and a bunch more to jumpstart your way through Raid Shadow Legends. And once more, a massive thanks to Raid for sponsoring this video. But we'll switch back to the gang already in Kalm with Cloud telling the fake load of shit backstory that is actually Zack's, but he doesn't know that yet. And here goes Chapter 1. And I'm not going to reprise my role as the flashback narrator, we did that in the OG, so let's get to the meat and potatoes, the achievements. Starting off strong with a string of 8 of them, and they're about your basic fare. I'm going to try and string them together in a coherent sentence. I got this staggeringly learning how to exploitatively practice breaking it down to an unfettered friendship. Look, it's rocky, but we get there. There are a couple of new battle-related ones, though. The first of which is Team Player, where we do a synergy skill combo attack with an ally. Kind of like what Yuffie and Sonon had going on, just expanded to the rest of the crew. The second is there's no I in Synergy for popping off a synergy ability instead. Same deal, just with a sick animation and buffs tacked on for free. Makes combat feel a bit more flowing, which it kind of needs because it also feels like there's not as much weight to the attacks anymore like there was in the first game. Maybe I'm just going, okay look, I'm already insane, I can't go further into insanity. The flashback sequence is mostly unchanged from the OG minus the little stuff, but it does give us a prologue boss, so let's fight the Materia Guardian. And remember how last time around the first boss took 10 hours? Well, you're allowed to play as anime anti-Jesus Sephiroth, so literally how the hell could I lose? 10-minute job. Some of you can't even microwave ramen noodles that fast. So definitely not Zack and Sephiroth put the Materia Guardian down like it was a footnote on a legal pad, and then Sephiroth loses his f***ing mind and shows the village that the best kind of pest control really is to kill it with fire. Sure, they all need new houses, but their bodies are just as crispy. And the rest of the flashback, eatily deet, the meat has been beat. Never meet your heroes. Welcome to Chapter 2, where we have a solid 12 achievements to dig through and we aren't getting any younger. We start off in Kalm and Tifa goes, "Hey, where have you been the last 5 years?" To which Cloud replies, "Hey, I thought you died 5 years ago." And Tifa goes, "Well, I never." The marital woes have already begun. The morning comes early and so do I.
What?
We get a deck of cards from the owner of the inn and we are now well equipped to play Queen's Blood, which will be necessary to get some of the achievements in the game. The first being New Blood, when we beat our first 3 challengers and rank up. Honestly, it's pretty decent. Beats the hell out of Fort Condor, at least. Speaking of, is that a regional thing? No one seems to have enjoyed that after Midgar. We don't get anything else from Kalm, but before we're on our way, we have a few errands and a date. So we check our gear and go grab some rear, and oh god damn it, the date gets interrupted because this is JRPG land where nothing can be good or straightforward. Shinra is here looking for us, so it's time to hit feet, bust a move, and bolt out of here. The owner of the inn is a friend of ours. Okay, more like they just hate Shinra, but the enemy of my enemy is my friend sort of thing. So we sneak out of Kalm through the tunnels and realize, ah shit, the game's open world and the map populates with the expected levels of open world RPG bloat. If we walk directly forward, we can pick up cashing in for collecting all the chests in a random area of the map, and right after that, we get fledgling summoner for using our summon materia. While they don't let you transfer your levels and items from the last one, it's cool that we get to keep our summon materia still. And on the topic of materia, it doesn't take long for us to get a materia world and weapon 101 for leveling a materia and unlocking our first weapon skill. From here, we'll head to the swamp and realize there's a giant snake work thing that means we need to take the Burb Express to get through here. So we're off to find ourselves a chocobo, which requires us to find them ourselves, where we'll grab a handful of achievements and speed up exploration by a lot. And just as our ears were finally recovering, f***ing Chadley walks up. "Hey Cloud! You know how the game populated us with all this bloat? Yeah, his fault. He wants a bestiary by scanning things again, more combat trials, finding random rocks around the map, material summon data, and towers, because that's how we unlock the map. And there's random combat challenges that are by far the most bullshit thing early game that isn't a boss. Alright everyone, on 3. 1, 2, 3. F*** you, Chadley! It's cathartic to say it again. Chocobos can also just find treasure while you're riding around.
I can smell you.
Nothing too spectacular, but a potion or something of that ilk. For finding 2, our little buddy is an expert excavator. We'll get a second one for fixing 3 chocobo stops, and it really is just go here, do a thing for the open world stuff, but this one's important. Look at this guy! This is the cutest fucking thing I've ever seen! And he gets so happy when you fix them, and we get to pet him? He's just so cute. I tested positive for type 2 and I'm naming him Gibbert. If you don't stop what you're doing and petting him after you fix the stop signs, then you are an objectively bad person. Reevaluate your life decisions. All right, fine. Now what do you want, Chadley? Wait a minute, did you transition? Congratulations! Because if 1 wasn't enough, then we might as well have 2 Chadleys. She's not quite as insufferable as Chadley himself somehow, and for finishing 5 of the world's intel, we net ourselves intelligence aid. And for the first quest, entering new markets. Pretty easy cleanups. The last thing we need to do in the area is grab a proto-relic. I'll give you 3 guesses as to who wants these things. Go ahead, guess. Yeah, it's Chadley, basically hitting up our phone, "Hey Cloud, I'm gay!" So we have to chase this thing down in every region with a handful of quests leading up to it. Our first one here is for beating up the idiots from the Coliseum. For wasting our time with this insane, nonsensical bullshit, we find some glowy shit in the grass for Founder's Bonus. The only other piece of intel we had to find was for fighting the Alpha Dunks. What a name. But anyways, this wouldn't be a problem, but there's 4 of them, with 3 times the fucking health. Why do I do this to myself? This run was already starting to piss me off, and we haven't even gotten to the worst part, which is this dumb-ass boss. Luckily, I was able to get the last bit of intel here and claim Director of Regional Intelligence. And since we did get all the intel, we get a little bit of reprieve where we can lower the difficulty by 0.3 notches of the summon material we get from Chadley. And you know, when everything has an asinine stat boost, I don't feel bad about this at all. Titan ended up being a total joke. Aerith blasts him with wind, and he barely touches us. Because of our intel collection, we get "You now work for me." And I know, some of you out there are yelling at the screen. This isn't even that hard, but you didn't have Chadley in your ear shrieking you and chasing you to dumb enemies for literal hours on end. But here we go, the boss. We cross the swamp on Cockback and face the Midgar Sormer. There isn't a word processing program out there that would recognize that name as correctly spelled. Can I be the first to say, it is way too fucking early for this goddamn thing? This is the equivalent of waking up at 4 in the goddamn morning and hearing your neighbors screaming karaoke with the windows open.
Suck on me!
I've legitimately been sitting here getting my ass handed to me for, I don't know, 3 hours at this point. I don't even know what to say. I just don't even know what to say. Like, at this point, why do I do this to myself? Maybe I should just quit. Maybe I should stop making videos. Maybe I should just go jump face first into a wood chipper. Maybe that would be more fun. In the OG game, we could have avoided it or just stolen the beta skill from it to make the rest of the game way easier, but nah. This is a full 6-pack of yourself soda. His normal HP bar is 13,000, but I like chewing on bricks, so his HP bar for me is 39,000. Oh, and we're also on dynamic mode, so this scales to my level. Everything's buffed, and the fight is so long because of it. It has 1.5 times defense, takes 1.5 times longer to stagger, so every combo feels like you just slap the shit out of it with a pool noodle. Oh, it finally staggered. Dump everything into it now, and when the dust clears, as you can see, that HP bar might have moved 3 fucking pixels. Meanwhile, the giant fucker's doing 1.5 times damage, so the goddamn International HV Series truck runs you the fuck over. I screw up once, everyone's hooked up to oxygen tanks laying in the hospital bed while I mash cure like I'm trying to undo the Holocaust. We slowly chip this thing down, and then on my 9th attempt, the finish line was in sight, when suddenly Aerith gets vored, Cloud goes in for the rescue only to explode into a cloud of his own blood, and Barret's all alone with his little pea shooter setting it to max velocity just to do over 800 damage to this thing. What the fuck, man? Cloud gets dragged into the lake after that, and for some reason Sephiroth saves him and pins the snake to a tree like in the original. I gotta say though, this didn't feel as cool as the OG, where you see it and then you go, oh well shit, Sephiroth is a force to be reckoned with. This just kind of feels like it was tacked on as an afterthought. But with Chapter 2 complete, we are in swampy situation. Chapter 3, and folks, we're working with a grand total of 1 achievement this time. We're eating a straight up nothing burger tonight. We're marching through the Mythril mines tailing these reunion guys like we got nothing better to do. We don't. And about halfway through, one of them just yeets himself off a cliff. Full send, 0 warning, and Barret goes,
"Don't worry, I'll climb down and see if he's okay."
Red decides that concern for hooded weirdos is a group activity now, so that leaves me with Tifa, Aerith, and Cloud to hold down the fort. And I'm just gonna spoil it now because I don't have it in me to pretend otherwise, but Barret does not find that guy. What is even the point of this chapter? The shining light is that both the boss fights are fucking awesome. With the main trio, we get Elena and Rude, a fast little tag team fight with some really cool moments in it. Elena, bless her heart, is not smart though. She staggers out on literally every hit landed with 0 setup required. She's basically asking for it at this point. Throw Rude into the mix though, and the fight actually grows a spine, so overall, good shit. No notes. Meanwhile, Barret and Red catch their own boss, the Mythril Golem. The second I saw the name, I started pricing out a coffin, fully bracing for the usual 30-minute HP sponge bullshit these games love. Instead, this fight fucking rules. Turns out I've been sleeping on Red this whole game because this fight bumped his character rank up for me on the spot. Free AoE that doesn't touch your MP, the ability to just say no to physical damage entirely, he is insanely underrated. For this boss, we're mostly focusing on Barret in the first phase to make sure we shoot the head, and then in the second phase we'll switch to Red so we can be immune to all the physical damage while we pepper him with a little bit of damage and a bunch of limit breaks. Once the crew gets back together, nobody's any the wiser but Cliff Guy, and we close out with the achievement, Make Mine Black. Hey, I haven't been able to say that since 1920. So we're gonna get a few more Chivos this time because the Mario Party minigame star has reared its ugly head for us. But before we go do that, we're in the Junon region and we have a ton to do. So allow me to bitch and moan for a minute here. We have the token open world meter reading you must waste this much time to continue. So we climb towers, pick up rocks, pet Choco Chicks, which isn't a complaint, but it's lumped in here. And I realized I walked right past the Chocobo Ranch in the area. I promise I had my eyes open, I'm just a touch dumb. I eventually make my way back and can start a string of side quests where we threaten the homeless with enough violence to make your local dictator blush, and we get a black chocobo named Belle who can climb mountains. Slowly, but she climbs. With our little buddy, we find a copy of Fort Condor lying around and get sucked right into it. Looking at the polygonal models, it seems like one of the devs got really into papercraft. I'm convinced this portion in the OG wasn't real and basically just a D&D Fight Club kind of thing. So we have to win 4 of these to get the proto relic for the area. On the bright side, f***ing Chadley isn't involved in this round of con D&D. That didn't stop me from losing my goddamn mind here though. The combat challenges in this region are fucking dog shit. Yes, this is entirely my fault, I admit that. I don't fucking care. Why on God's green earth did 3 of the 4 of them have to have flying enemies? What the hell did I do to deserve this? There were a significant amount of attempts that was just getting dive bombed off rip and dying instantly. So I tried to use strategy and put a provoke materia on Barret because, you know, a tank having all the aggro makes sense, right? Wrong, because suddenly he becomes the clingiest man on the planet and seems to be bawling tears while running to Aerith for a hug. Meanwhile, the birds are dive bombing and dropping wet shits on our heads. You do realize you're supposed to stand out like a scarecrow, right? So I get AoE'd because dipshit over here ruined the attempt. Oh, lovely. Yep, now he's gonna fucking throw it fucking 300 miles away. Fucking good job, Cloud, you dumb f. I had to farm this chapter because of these and level up the ice and wind materia, otherwise this is straight up impossible. Because of the fucking stagger nonsense, we can only do it with the highest tier of magic, and I learned very quickly just how good the level materia is during this early game. And if you think that's bad, just stay tuned, because the bullshit continues. Where's the flower, Aerith? Before we get back into this absolute nightmare, I do want to quickly mention that I'm going to be streaming these runs pretty frequently over on Twitch soon, so if you actually do want to come hang out with me while I'm suffering through these games, definitely come stop by. And since I've unfortunately been demonetized by YouTube, if you really do enjoy these videos and want to help support me making more of them, I've also got a Patreon and a Ko-Fi linked in the description. Obviously, don't feel like you have to give me anything, but if you can afford to throw a little support my way, it genuinely helps me keep doing this. All right. Enough shameless self-promotion. Back to the suffering. We make our way to Junon and some people threaten to turn us into Shinra, and Aerith is way too happy that she hit the high score because her bounty is roughly 500 times the value of the rest of us. Thankfully, Little Miss Sheriff lets us exist. We go book a hotel, and I expected Priscilla to need help like she did in the OG, but it was Yuffie. That's one way to add her to the party for sure. And here's a segue to the next boss, the Terror of the Deep. Even though we don't have Beta just nuke this guy from orbit like last time, he's not that rough of a boss. The fight taught me just how to use Cloud's air combat and how useful it is for avoiding ground-based attacks. There's really not a whole lot to say here because it's just slam, slash, dodge, rinse, and repeat. Aerith and Red Radio Flyer are dead, but this isn't about them. I'm living my best life. We even got Barret acting like a little girl.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
We get to the hotel that's totally free thanks to protagonist privileges, and we hear a kid in Aerith's room. Cloud investigates and tries to tell her that she was great at hiding her pregnancy when Red the Redgehog comes out, and I don't know if I want to consider that offspring. Cloud and Tifa also decide to apologize to each other, so hey, win-win.
Only person from the village I remember is you.
God damn, that motherfucker said, the only person I remember from the village is you. Oh, shut the fuck up. Yuffie breaks into our room to tell us she's been hired to make abstract art with Rufus's jugular vein. Little Miss Sheriff did actually rat us out though. That's no good, double-crossing varmint. Thankfully, we don't have to deal with Shinra's army, just Roach, and he does Roach things. He couldn't arrest me if I came pre-handcuffed and attached to a radiator. He's too busy fantasizing about Cloud on his knees. Okay, we all are, and I'm projecting, aren't I? But let me have this. Now please ignore that I'm a higher level with Yuffie in my party. I definitely didn't forget the side quests existed. Nope, not me. So Sheriff Backstab wants us to escort her dog to her son, which I will do even if the only thing it does get me is the last area. I need to complete all the side shit here. And skipping the less important details, we get all the Phoenix crystals for the summon materia and played a ton of Queen's Blood. And I get to play piano. We aced the song in one shot because I've played way too many rhythm games in my life and it is a problem. Anyways, let's deal with On from Persona. She's been stopping us in every region for some side shit, but no big issue. But now we need to make steak by murdering a cow and feeding it to a condor. We're good people. The most interesting thing is finishing up that proto-relic quest where Gilgamesh pops up and we fight, if you can call it a fight. He kind of just whiffed his attack and ran away like a bitch, but here we are, the Fort Condor commander. Then we play some more Queen's Blood against Cameron, and that triggers a weird cutscene where they tell us Queen's Blood is evil. Yeah, and Yu-Gi-Oh's demonic. Something, quit having fun, but hey, it's all done. What's our reward? Fighting a Mind Flayer. Okay, hear me out. D&D player in me is screaming that I should back the fuck away, but the more primal part of me wants to get real close. Luckily, this fight is simple. Tifa makes this thing her bitch because she still does a clusterfuck of damage, and now she has dodge and parry materia built into her kit. It just feels so nice to play as her. Now, we do have one more quest that needs done, and this quest had me considering deleting the channel, running away, and starting my own Turtle Hermit Island like a slightly less perverted Master Roshi. The Frog Quest. Yeah, this, by the way. Who decided we need to be stuck as frogs for 2 straight hours and take on a combat encounter where we just get turned into a fucking juggling ball for whatever showed up to bat that day? Yeah, I made it worse. Would you watch otherwise? Though there really are only so many ways I can say it was just bad and awful to play. I had to equip a shit ton of HP materia just to have enough health to survive this shit and turn everyone into a tank, then give Tifa the ATB stagger materia just to have a chance to play leapfrog with these guys when they bunch up. Eventually they did, but god damn this sucked. That lets us do the frog minigame, which took like 3 attempts. No problems at all. And with that, we're done with Junon and we can start heading topside. Now that we're here, we have a ton of story to dig through. This time, we have Tifa and Aerith sneak into the march with us, which lets them be their own characters this time. And here comes my weakest hear me out ever. This NPC commander. I would join Shinra army just to see this woman in uniform daily. You can't tell me I'm wrong. Look at this woman. So we prove that we're the best at marching and she makes us captain of the 7th Midgar Division. Of course it has to be the 7th. Nice nod. I wish things were that simple IRL though. We have to round up troops and do some shopping where we can proc our next Chivo, 7th Assemble, for making sure we pick up all 10 platoons. And now, we march again. We need 100,000 points during this, which means the hardest difficulty is up and we have to step to it. Hey, I'm good at this though. I proved my loyalty to the hot moron running Shinra, and we are awarded with stealing the show. And on the flip side, Rufus knows it's us. He may be a bad guy, but he doesn't have the average bad guy intelligence. Heidegger didn't realize it was us, so he's still a dipshit though. Rufus tells us he'll drop the bounties on our heads if we hunt down and murderize Sephiroth, which had me popping off. This is a real substantial story change. So now we're working with the enemy and Yuffie ruins it. She tries assassinating Rufus and now the whole area is on lockdown and our plans are shot. Come on, Square, would it have killed you to make one big-ass change? Now we all separate because traveling as a group is a great way to get arrested. But now we do get 5 teammates, the 7th Infantry guys. They haven't figured out that we're their enemies, so we rip right through the area while I wonder how much cooler this segment would have been if we had all of our party members to fight alongside us. Or at least let them get a few hits in during combat instead of acting like they're helping, yet they do 0 damage. Never mind. I hate hearing Barret sit there and yell, "Get some!" while I'm fucking attacking enemies and he's doing literally nothing. At the end of it, we fight Roach again, and he's fighting from a motorcycle, which would be asinine if it weren't for the fact that the same strat from the remake works here yet again. Just parry his entire game plan and then cut the bike in half. You're dead. Get absolutely dumpstered on, buddy boy. But he's the good kind of meathead and goes, "Nice job," before letting us off the hook. So we hightail it to the boat, hop on board, and lie to get the president's commendation. Wow, that was a long one. Thankfully, Chapter 5 is a hell of a lot shorter than the last one, which is good because it ends with a boss fight that made eating flaming coals sound appealing. Before we get there though, it's finally time to play Yu-Gi-Oh! I mean, Queen's Blood. Same thing. Pretty much this entire chapter revolves around this QB tournament. You can challenge whoever you want, but I had priorities. First the robot, then Tifa, then Andrea because Mommy M was an option that I didn't see and I will regret for my entire life. Finally, Chadley and Regina. Chadley especially needed to be humbled after calling me the last 40 hours, so kicking his ass felt therapeutic. Sadly, none of these matches actually reward us with any new cards, but at least they're easy. Even Red decides he's gonna do his best human impression and join the tournament, only to immediately get his ass handed to him. I mean, if we're handing out free ass beatings this chapter, everybody gets one. Of course, this is Final Fantasy, so we're legally not allowed to enjoy ourselves for more than 10 minutes before the monsters decide they also bought tickets. The hooded guys we've been following get non-consensually touched, which makes Hojo look like he just creamed himself, so that's great. Right before the boss, the ship's captain walks out with 0 fucks to give and starts putting rounds into the hooded guys before they can transform. I actually thought this was gonna matter because, you know, we just lost the people we've been tracking for half the game, but no, never comes up again. Nice job, Square. Then we finally reach Genova Emergent, and holy fucking shit, this fight overstays its welcome. Every time I thought, alright, surely we're almost done, the health bar just informed me to go f myself. I died 4 different times because Barret and Tifa had a scientific curiosity about exactly how hot a f***ass laser is. Eventually, I just gave up pretending this was a 3-person fight and started controlling Tifa almost exclusively because she's the only one making meaningful progress on this health bar. Cloud spends the entire fight looking like the protagonist from a tentacle. Barret was busy screaming while he hit a nice crisp 2 damage, and I'm pretty sure I might have gotten brain damage from the amount of air dodges I did. 5 business days later and the bitch finally dies, earning us cryptic cameo and bringing Chapter 5 to an end. Chapter 6 has me thinking maybe I was a bit too harsh on the previous chapters because welcome to Purgatory. Population me and approximately 47 mandatory minigames. Once we finally make it off the boat, the first thing we need is a hotel. Unfortunately, every hotel owner in Costa del Sol looked at us and went, yeah, f off. Luckily, here comes Johnny. You remember Johnny, right? From the other game, and that one achievement where he made my life more annoying? Well, somehow this lovable dumbass now owns a hotel and actually lets us stay there for free. Probably because he wants to sneak a peek at Tifa in the shower, but you know what? I'll take what I can get. Johnny's also gonna hand us out achievements like it's Christmas later, so I guess we're friends now. Unfortunately, Cloud also decides that since we're on vacation, he doesn't need to bring the Buster Sword with him. You know, the giant weapon that solves every problem we come across. Surely, nothing could possibly go wrong. Instead, it's time for mini-games. We start with shooting things in the pirate minigame because if there's one thing I'm good at, it's shooting things. Then we'll team up with Regina to bully people in Queen's Blood before giving Cloud a fresh set of vacation clothes that somehow cost less than the amount of brain cells I have. That's when the devs thought, alright, how about some more mini games? And how about if you have to replay them 3 times each? Well, yay! Now we're taking pictures of cactuars, returning beach carts, playing piano, which I have to admit is really beautiful. It's probably my favorite version of Tifa's theme. And I actually enjoyed doing the piano minigame throughout the rest of the game. But then came Run Wild. The first round is easy. Kick some soccer balls into a goal, no big deal. Round 2, I don't get how this got by quality assurance because holy fuck, this sucks. I spent well over an hour fighting RNG because the goddamn balls don't always land right and block my shot. I did finally get close to only lose a run by about 3 seconds, which meant I had to do the entire thing over again. After all the frustration, I finally discovered that Red can sprint. If I hear one skill issue in the comments, I swear I'll lock you in a room with Chadley for the next 3 months. Eventually, everyone reunites back on the beach just in time for Hojo to remind me why he's ugly. He starts kidnapping the hooded guys and immediately decides that kidnapping us sounds fun too, so you may be thinking, well, just kick his ass, but if you forgot, Cloud left the Buster Sword back at the fucking hotel. So this boss fight turns into Cloud trying to fight a giant robo-octopus with a fucking umbrella. Yuffie and Johnny do eventually jump in to help for exactly 1 cutscene, leaving me to deal with the oversized calamari by myself. I got way closer to dying here than I care to admit, but eventually the umbrella proves just barely adequate enough to save the day and close out Chapter 6 with fun in the sun. Chapter 7 is so motherfucking long. There's 1 achievement and the rest of the chapter feels like a lot of bullfuckery. Children are annoying and I can't collect everything before I have to move on. I'm forced into Chapter 8 before I can finish all the side quests. Isn't that fun? God forbid you put an extra 2 minutes onto the longest chapter in the fucking game. Whatever. So after our fight, our friends are safe and we head back to the hotel. We need to finish making our way to Corel, but first, Yuffie pops out and goes, "Hello, protagonist! You have room for 1 more. I make 1 more. Good deal, yes?" And then she joins our team. I'm not complaining, she's OP as fuck. She's up there with Tifa in terms of how bullshit she is. Elemental coverage from ninjutsu, dodge skills, nasty synergy attacks, short and long range, heated seats, ice cold AC, 4-wheel drive, and she can be yours for only 400,000 gil. Anyways, her and Tifa will be the main party from here on out unless more winged fuckers decide to ruin my day. In which case, Aerith or Barret will sub in. And now we get the side quests lumped on. Thank you, Chadley. Alright. More token tower climbing. In case you forgot that this was an open world game, we also have to go find seashells as collectibles for the area. Truly, they have shaken this system to the fucking core with this one. We can also get started on our next line of Johnny achievements. We can get 4 of them for getting all the collectibles in the game. Most of them are buried and require chocobo metal detecting, which I guarantee you will be a hoot and a holler. I love extra padding in my games. They're not long enough. The path to Corel is a perilous one as the party gets split, so the main squeeze this time around is Aerith, Cloud, and the meat crayon we call Red. Unfortunately, Aerith doesn't really pop off until next chapter, making this a slow climb until we reach the Turks. Rude and Elena are back and say, yeah, not dealing with this, so they throw a boss at us that leaves fire everywhere because an open oven in my kitchen wasn't hot enough. During this fight, my 2 allies decided to share a brain cell, and it's never their turn with it. They're like orange cats and haven't learned that the stove is hot. Meaty Red becomes the MVP because he's actually fast enough to be able to dodge most of the nonsense that gets thrown at us this fight. Whenever we can, Aerith will be flinging spells at it, but the strongest tactic we have is Vengeance, where Crimson Red goes apeshit on them, and spoiler alert, this is also the Chapter 9 boss. With the dumbass Robo dead, we catch up with Zack again. He's having a rough go of it, and in his universe, Cloud and Aerith are in a coma still, and the world is kind of being ripped apart. I'm sure he'll be fine. The main crew needs to finish up the trip to Corel, so we embrace our inner child and yearn for the mines, but first, we glimpse a weapon. And I wish I could tell you which one this was, but they remind me of Sin from FFX, so that's something at least. Cloud ends up trying to off himself like he's one of the hooded boys, so it's probably a good idea if we let him relax while Yuffie takes over. And between her and Tifa, Cloud really isn't necessary, but we get one of the most aggravating fights thus far. 2 bombs in a tiny ass room, and I can only use Yuffie. It felt like the US military had a personal vendetta against me because the entire room got carpet bombed like it had oil everywhere in it. If I was anyone but Yuffie right now, this would have taken a day by itself. F this room. And then the boss, total joke, walk in the park. Big ass bird gets shot down by Barret and Yuffie, and when it hits the ground stunned, Tifa fucks it in half. But I do get rewarded with a little buddy that we name Cloud Jr. And finally, we reunite with the entire party at Corel, where Barret gets bullied. They pour drinks on his head, slap the shit out of him, and act like he kicked a puppy and shot a child in front of its mother. At least there's one nice person in the town, though. Doc Sheeran, the doctor who saved Tifa after Sephiroth tried to turn her insides into outsides, and this might be the only person in town who doesn't hate Barret for existing. We have to do a side quest for him, but it's a simple boss fight. What I really want to focus on before we go to Chapter 8 is that I want to get the Phoenix materia, because at this point, it's the only way for us to revive anybody. You have no idea how much I've missed having this materia. It's been such a bitch getting to the end of a fight and having the crowd drop dead and shove my damage to the absolute dreg, where I have to extend a fight by 45 minutes. We'll get Barret to share his heartbreaking tale before we leave and close out the chapter, so here's the story. Barret helped convince Corel to build a reactor. It went boom, and then Shinra performed their own brand of damage control by sending everyone present to the Celestial DMV, including Dyne, Barret's old buddy. Seeing it this way, Yuffie gets a little pissed. Barret gets emotional, and it's a really well done scene that Rebirth just made better. Not everything is doom and gloom though, because we're entering the happiest place on Earth. Disneyland Gold Saucer, and finishing up with our only achievement of this chapter, the Price of Progress. The weird fucker Dio shows up again, and yeah, he's not much different. This chapter's another one that overstays its welcome by bloating content with minigames. The girls and Cherry will go have fun while Barret and I get the hotel, and we can finally meet KITTYCUT. He ends up canceling Palmer in the Turk's room, and that means we can have it, which is cool. Better than another cat I know. Shortly after this, Tifa will show up for a date because Cloud is a full-on player. Playing these mini-games, aw yeah, fucking kill me. There's too many mini-games to list, but I make sure that I get everything that requires GP from the shops around the saucer, but the 2 arena fights are just currently out of my league. So I'll come back to those later, but for right now, the fight between Knuckles and Concrete is just a little too favored for the Concrete. And that's when I hear of a guy with a gun going around and putting spicy pebbles into the brains of Shinra troops. Finally, my kind of people. Everyone in town, though, shows that they're filthy racists and blame Barret for it. No one trusts the black guy with a gun arm, I guess. But we know the truth. It was the white guy with the gun arm. The story diverges a little more here with Dio not throwing us in Corel prison, instead making us junior detectives, and we have 24 hours to find the culprit. In the original, I was always curious why we asked for his help so many times, considering he threw us in a hole, but you know. And of course, the Corel prison is a different place now. As soon as we get there, Cloud gets his skull caved in and turned into a bowl of brain soup before the lifeless corpse gets thrown into a cell. And I want to be mad, especially at this gold-toothed f***er that did it, but this theme song do got me jamming. He tells us they have Barret locked in the desert, and if we want him back, we'll have to win some money at the Chocobo races. Enter our Chocobo buddy from the grasslands, and Pico. He'll be our racing Chocobo, but he also needs to be fed because he can't run on an empty stomach, so we have to run around and collect a bunch of greens and get spiked in the ribs by cactuars. Because my dumbass challenge rules restrict me from using items. That was a fun 20 minutes I could have spent, you know, doing literally anything else. Anyhow, we get the greens, get Pico back in racing shape, and carrying him to the saucer, and because I'm better than all of you at Mario Kart, I win the races with no issue. Just drift repeatedly to build speed boosts. It's an Echo, Zulu, Charlie, Lima, Alpha, Papa. If you know what I said, then good for you. With our win secured, we take the long walk to the desert to find Barret, and he's just bitching about Scarlet being a piece of shit, I think. My brain kind of turned off at the mention of Scarlet. Though someone can hear him talking shit because 2 boss fights get queued up. First up, Barret versus Dyne. This was one of the most challenging fights so far, not in terms of actual difficulty, but in terms of staying awake. If I didn't have a chakra materia on the big guy here, it would have been impossible. Dyne hits us and down goes most of our health, but doesn't have the balls to actually kill Barret, so I top off my HP and pelt him down because, once more, Barret loads his arm gun with 22 long rifle bullets, and they don't do a f***ing thing. 20 minutes wasted on a boring-ass fight because Barret doesn't actually like shooting anything with actual kick to it. Following that, we fight Palmer in a big-ass mech. And when he popped out of it and slapped his ass at me, I got IRL mad. But I took a breath, Calmed down and thought, what would Jesus do? The answer is forgive and forget, so I asked instead, what would Zeus do? And had Aerith spam Thundaga while Yuffie used Thunder Ninjutsu, and that's all there really was to the fight. Just long and tedious, and then we get to watch Shinra paint the sand with Dine's gray matter, and Barret's emotion at seeing this was enough to get me teary-eyed. I don't think Dine had enough screen time here either, but at least it wasn't like the original where it felt like, here's this guy, now he's dead, oh, he was Barret's friend, be sad about it. Right as we're about to be overrun by Shinra shitheads, Dio shows up at the perfect time on the Roadhog and goes, yeah, I spied on you, but I heard you're innocent, so here's your new wheels. And if that's all it takes for a free car, I'll take the masking tape off my webcam. Cloud and Barret share a nice moment before we drive off and finish Palmer.
Well, we're here for you.
To help take the load off, huh?
I mean it, man.
Yeah, starting to think you might.
Mac, the Turks, and Tifa avoid a felony driving charge by not smearing Elena across the road with a car, and all of this might just be worth the wait. Now that we have a car, the open world of Corel is totally open for us, but we do need to get some new materia because it's starting to lag behind. And now I have to come back for the monster hunts later because I can't do them as of yet. But we do get KITTYCUT to join us.
Alright everyone, let's get this party started!
And he's some people's favorite character. But for my run, he's just shy of worthless. He won't be around in combat much, if at all. And just like the monster hunts, the fight with Alexander for another summon materia also has to wait. Trust me, I tried this fight for about 3 hours, it just wasn't happening. He spams like a Nigerian prince and has tank HP stats, and I can't generate ATB with Aerith nearly fast enough to hit big magic on him, so later it is. However, Johnny's able to be taken care of, which means we'll need to take on the Tonberry King. Just stand at a distance with Yuffie and attack, using Brumal Form to dodge when we need it. It doesn't take very long at all. We do need to make sure we steal the crown after knocking it off of its head to get the best quest outcome, but it's still super easy, all things considered. For this, we get 1-star startup and 3-star hotel. This is the point I actually bothered to look at Kate Sith's equipment and realized he had a magnify materia, making the monster hunts actually possible. Well, the sandworms possible. So Aerith using Blizzaga and Magnify, we knock it out pretty quickly, and let me reiterate how dumb Magnify is in Rebirth. Along with the other buffing materia, we can set up Cloud and Aerith to be orbital spell cannons while Yuffie gets free ATB stocks for everybody. We can't do this until later, but that's the idea of the endgame build I'm going for. I would love to tell you about the proto-relic of the region. Thank you for asking. It's more mini-games of fighting cactuars with magic and physical attacks based on the color that we can't finish. Because our good friend Chadley reminds us, hey Cloud, let's do this one later. How about f*** yourself, Chadley? Since we just got the minigame blue-balled, we start making our way to the jungle to Gongaga and start on the gigantic open world area there. We get to meet another character named Cisne who thinks Cloud is Zack because we're both soldiers, which is about the same as mixing up 2 Call of Duty protagonists because they're all gruff McMilitary, so I kinda get it. We get the chance to talk to Zack's parents here, which is a nice scene even though we witness Cloud's amnesia getting worse. But it does also let us see Cloud, Aerith, and Tifa getting closer with each other, which is just so wholesome.
I am so bored right out of my brain.
Ha! You expected peace? That's cute. We hear a weapon at the abandoned reactor and give chase to save the village, and this section is simultaneously one of the most incredible and one of the most infuriating. I think playing as Cloud, Barret, and Maroon was fun. We finally get new weapons for Cloud, the others got some cool abilities, we even get to see the Whispers return, which I'm still undecided on whether I love or hate them, but more timeline changes are cool with me. Either go all in or make it extremely faithful. I don't care which. Quit with this bullshit where you're like, oh, it's kinda like the original, but not really. Here comes Scarlet to drain me and then kill my party. So here is specimen H1024. Because I don't have Aerith, this fight ends up taking a lot longer than I would have liked. Cloud can at least cast Blizzaga, so I have something. Rose becomes the new MVP because he has a party-wide heal and full party haste ability, along with being able to regenerate ATB like he's hitting the bathrooms for a rail of white lightning. This boss has the lovely gimmick of being able to completely one-tap you, but that isn't an issue we have to worry about thanks to Ruby, our blizzard magic, and I gave Cloud an enemy skill materia for boomy shenanigans. With the big bitch down, the red bitch kills us. Well, she would've if she didn't miss because she has the aim of whatever cursed offspring of Helen Keller and a stormtrooper would have had. And that's when the girls ride in on their cocks, and now Team Titty is taking on Scarlet. Aerith, Yuffie, and Tifa. This phase of the fight isn't a huge issue, but the royal bitch cycles through the same nonsense she did in the intermission DLC with Sonon and Yuffie. In her final form, she effectively nulls magic, and because I'd rather not die, I wasn't about to play fisticuffs with her. So this ended up taking about 45 minutes. It wasn't fun. She has some really annoying attacks, and her voice is fucking grating when you hear the same lines ad nauseum. Once she does go down, Tifa breaks out of the track shoes and chases her down so she can collect the weapon, and Cloud gets possessed in one of the coolest scenes I've ever seen in this game. He starts just absolutely slinging the Buster Sword around like a katana with the most smug smirk on his face. Yeah, I'm God, I know. And he ends up impaling a Shinra soldier, though he does go a little overkill and ends up pushing Tifa into the reactor and she gets bored by the weapon. However, it's such a cool scene, I really just can't be mad at him. Tifa in the whale's belly ends up seeing glimpses of her forgotten past in the live stream, nearly gets impaled by Sephiroth, and safely, if not smellily, is that even a word? Anyway, she gets vomited back up and we catch her in our arms for yet another mission complete. Before our next story section though, we do get a side quest I want to mention. This old woman wants us to round up her chickens, and that's all well and good. The quest was a slog, so why am I bringing it up? Well...
Thank you. They can be a handful, and chasing them really works up the appetite. So allow me to whip you up some of Grandma Kazra's famous grilled chicken. Say goodnight, Pipperly.
What just happened? That's not okay. Other than that, the main thing I want to talk about is the proto relic. All the monster hunts gave me really no trouble this time around because having access to magic powering materia and magnify means that Aerith is kind of a god now. We just make sure we're firing at what the enemies are weak to, and most of the time we can destroy them long before they become issues. The proto relic this time around is guarded by the Turks, or at least holograms in their training facility, and you know what? After being forced to play Fort Condor, chase bandits across the grasslands, and punch a bunch of cactuars, just having a normal battle section with enemies that aren't insanely spongy was a breath of fresh air. We also learn a bit more about how the Turks operate and how ruthless they really can be, with the final fight being Elena and Rude again. As far as I know, it's unchanged from when we fought them the first time in the mine, so it's nothing too crazy. And at the end of this proto-relic hunt, Chadley gets attacked by Gilgamesh, so it was definitely worth it. We also find out that Cisne is a Turk herself, so that's interesting. I hope she comes up again later and it isn't just some random thing squared through in here like half of the other characters they introduced.
Foreshadowing is a literary device.
After our endeavors with the red dress bitch and the weapon of mass biodestruction, we're off to Cosmo Canyon and Sid stops by for a lift. This chapter is just f***ing garbage. The side quests suck, the story segments were a coin flip between making me upset and making me bored, and the minigames, oh f***ing hell. Chocobos aren't meant to fly according to this game. As soon as we enter the region, we get our Chocobos and we'll be tasked with doing these mini games, and in order to get the top rank and all the rewards, we have to play them perfectly. The concept alone is nothing new, but the Chocobo flight one, fuck this sideways with a stick of butter. Superman 64 had better controls than this, and that says something. You have to fly through rings, and the detection on these has to be f***ing bugged or something. You slightly miss a ring, and that's GG. You can easily fly over or under the goddamn things, and I would have significantly rather put 3 toothpicks under my big toenail and kicked a wall as hard as I f***ing can. I'd have gotten more out of it. I swear. They were in the dev meeting like, yeah, this plays like freeze-dried dog shit. Ship it. Whoever you are, I hope someone breaks into your house and moves all the furniture 3 centimeters to the left so you slam your f***ing toe into everything for months. Frustration vented, we begin our open world shit in the main town of Cosmo Canyon. And for once, I'm happy seeing Chadley because he has some good materia for us, and it's exactly what the doctor ordered for fighting Alexander, Kujata, and Bahamut for their summon materials. What's not enjoyable is Burgundy's new voice.
Hey, guys! It's me!
Hey guys, it's me!
When we make it to Cosmo Canyon, all the gruff, animalistic tone it once had now sounds like a 13-year-old failing puberty. It's like Ryuji, but hiked up an octave.
For real?
It's not very enjoyable to listen to. I get why it happened, but the voice direction here wasn't a good call. We get to meet Bugenhagen, and for whatever reason, Corel doesn't call him Grandpa anymore. I'm not gonna judge. And of course, we have to take on the Gi like in the original, except the game reminds you of the fight with Gi Natak and then isolates it to Barret and Vermilion. The last time around, we had Cloud, Red, and one of the others, so it's shaping up to be one of the biggest pains in the ass in the game. The first phase is easy enough, but this assumes that he doesn't grab us and one-shot us and fully heal himself. Phase 2 is just batshit insanity. He summons these skulls that if we don't destroy them fast enough, our HP and MP gets halved. He shrinks the arena and drains our AP. And you know what? While you're at it, take my wallet. Take my whole ass identity. We'll just have to restart if that happens. But because of the mod increasing enemy defenses, that affects the skulls too, and they're most likely not getting destroyed unless Cardinal over here hits his tier 2 limit break. So we just have to pray that our MP gets halved since it's really the only stat that doesn't matter here and just hammer away while Barret has once again gotten new ammo. This time steel BBs. And after all of that, we're finally able to do the Proto Relic quest. I like this one though. We get to see the Avalanche members from the Yuffie DLC in the remake, and they tell us what happened to Wedge. A lot of character growth for Barret and Tifa reminiscing about Jesse, Biggs, and Wedge here. Chadley's little robot game isn't actually bad either. It's not great, but the rest of the chapter was such a low point that it's not a high bar to clear. The bar is in hell. You would need a fucking excavator to get lower. But for that, we earned the Gambit paid off. Without a ton of details, the rest of the side quests in this chapter weren't better. Taking pictures that didn't want to cooperate and look like we were trying to take pictures of fucking Bigfoot. Running across the map to kill 3 specific enemies 9 times. At least we earned Stars Fell from My Eyes, and we head towards Nibel. Nibel wasn't a bad chapter, but it's a microcosm of the rest of the game. The highs are in the sky, and the lows make me wonder which of the 9 layers of hell this game came from. It's the first one, by the way, because you couldn't get lower with a shovel. And absolutely you, Kate Sith. I go through the usual clearing out of the map and it's spotted bullshit and get a chocobo before someone tells me to. This one's great though because it can fly on water. I don't know how it works, but it doesn't control like garbage like the last chapter, so win-win. The only thing that can't be dealt with right now is the Basilisk Hunt. They are way too spongy with the mods we have right now, and I can't cast spells fast enough or generate ATB fast enough to make it work, so we'll save it for later. What can be done is that last Moogle mushroom and complete the minigame to open the last Moogle Emporium. I never mentioned these because they were lumped in with some other stuff that I would have to mention later anyways, but they're included in doing everything. They earn us some weapon books and accessories, but most importantly, it earns us Moogle Lover when we do all of them. Moogle Lover? Sounds like a slur. Now we just have to head to Nibel to see that the town is somehow still here despite it being burned to cinders previously. So in the OG, this place was a Shinra cover-up and that was it. Oopsie, we f***ed it up, but fire fixes everything. Now this place is a treatment facility for the Robe Friends. So it's still a Shinra cover-up, but this time it's more interesting. Kate Sith digs through the Shinra database but doesn't have the clearance necessary, so we need to find Murasaki and ask for his help. Along the way, Cloud begins to remember things and finally makes the connection about Zack, and we get some wonderful character development here. We also get his highest DPS weapon that I certainly don't want to be on the business end of. That thing looks like it was pulled out of hell itself and made from obsidian. Seriously, that thing will cut the life out of you while your body still stands, not processing what happened. We climb to the top of the mountain and find that everyone, including Murasaki, is fucking dead. And Yuffie kinda loses her goddamn mind about it because Wutai didn't tell her about this, even though it revolved all around her. Cloud does his best to comfort her, but it's Cloud, so he's awkward, and he would be like, Yuffie, look at the bright side. You weren't killed with them. Okay, it's a little bit better than that, but still. Time for a regularly scheduled boss fight that I kind of forgot even happened. Tifa beat the tentacles like calamari and it was gone. So we'll grab Murasaki's keycard and get the hell out of here. And now hell has arrived at the door. We play as Aerith, Barret, and Kate Sith. That's not the issue though. The issue is that there's a section in Shinra Manor where Kate Sith is alone, and the start of my hatred for this character. It's not their fault we get locked in a room with 4 of the tankiest f***ing enemies in the game. This resulted in an obscene amount of strategy and even more trial and error. Alright, new strategy. We try to get the limit break as fast as possible and just hope that it does enough damage for it to be worth it. Okay, I don't think that's gonna work. And this isn't even something I'm proud of, but I got pissed and slammed my controller against the desk and the control stick flew out and disappeared into the ether. For the entire rest of this chapter, I was playing without the right joystick on my controller because it was a nub.
I'll knock your block off.
Holy shit, that took 30 minutes. Like, I'm not even kidding. My recording says 28 minutes and 50 seconds. I'm gonna need a moment. Wow. Through the most daunting amount of will and persistence and the chakra material while the Moogle took the aggro for me, I was able to escape from this room of hell only to get ambushed by a boss. It's slightly better odds because it's a 1.5v1 if you count the Moogle, and the strat is the same. Moogle takes the aggro and I take pot shots with magic. At one point, the boss tries to go for its massive one-shot move, and I pop Limit Break in response to not die, and the boss just commits seppuku, so we take those. We reunite with Aerith and Barret, and now hopefully nothing is that hard ever again. The real boss of this section gave me a ton of trouble in the OG, but this time around, it's a nothing burger. I give Kate all the buff and debuff stuff. Aerith blasts top-tier magic like an orbital cannon, and Barret tanks while doing 1 damage per plastic BB shot, and it's not really any match for us. It has the gimmick of swapping back and forth from physical immunity and magical immunity, but it stayed physical for the majority of the fight, making it much easier. Enter Vincent, and holy fucking daddy. You want to talk about who got the best glow up in this game? Vincent, 10 million% Vincent. I have drooled for a lot of women in this game, but what I wouldn't do for this man. Have you heard his voice? You would too.
Vincent Valentine. I'm security.
Unfortunately, he isn't as nice as he was in the OG and grabs our cat by the face and yeets it before the fight begins. Can I be next, please? Alright, anyways. He transforms into the Galleon Beast, and it was a lot of fun for this fight. Cloud cleans up with counters, Aerith backs us up with her celestial magic, and Cait Sith is forced into the party, but isn't a terrible character in a party scenario. He gives Faith to Aerith, Bravery to Cloud for damage boosts, and poisons Vincent, so he was a solid asset. Post-fight, Vincent tells us to get the hell out of here, and I cry because he doesn't join our party. At this point, Cait Sith tells us we need to go find the Keystone, and the only place it could be is the Gold Saucer, so back to Cid we go. However, if you forgot, this is the remake of an old JRPG, so it's time for the 348th consecutive boss fight. Roach shows up and challenges Cloud to a 1v1, and this one was a banger. I have just about all of Cloud's moves at this point and do a solid amount of damage. Plus, the counter makes a really sick fight where he actually staggers and has good moves that aren't just walk aggressively towards you. It's a really great fight, but Roach still loses and doesn't get a happy ending. He becomes one of the robe dudes and succumbs to soldier degradation. Before we leave, we do have one more proto-relic to deal with, and so it's time for us to chase the hooded buddies around for a bit, and it's kinda boring as hell. Until the third leg of the quest where Broden shows up. Remember the innkeeper from Kalm? Yeah, he lost his fight to soldier degradation and became a Mako-poisoned wandering zombie too. Kind of unfortunate. Hojo starts hacking Chadley, which doesn't really go anywhere, so I'm hoping maybe in the future we'll get to see more of what's going on with that, but for now, Sephiroth drops a Gilgamesh into us for a boss fight. It was another easy but fun fight where Cloud counters the bulk, Yuffie does some good work, and I'm happy she's back. I like having her around. This was definitely the best of the Proto-Relic quests in my opinion, and I'm glad they saved the best for last, because we are now a professional handler. Now we're off to Cid where he goes, "Yo, Aerith! Yo mama hot as fuck, you bet I hit that!" And now he takes us to the saucer for free because Aerith was about to punch every single pore on his face into a crater. And that's when Vincent hops on the plane and is like, "Yo, I'm joining." And I was like, okay, sure. Cid and Vincent are unplayable for the rest of the game, which is dumb, but I can't wait to see how they handle it in Revelation. That's of course when the Bronco breaks down and turns itself into a boat. I'm a bit surprised we never actually went to Rocket Town, so I guess this is a pretty significant enough change. And when we finally reach land, we clear up chapter 11 and find that you're not Murasaki. Jesus Christ, chapter 12 is long. We have access to the whole map now thanks to the tiny Bronco. We were supposed to head to the Gold Saucer for the Keystone, but I have to embrace my inner card fight Vanguard nerd and play 400 games of Queen's Blood along with every fucking region to get more side quests. Those range from, "Aw, that's cute," to "I'm going to swan dive out of the nearest window, I swear to God." However, the only reprieve is that we see the 7th platoon again and Commander Mommy is present. And ma'am, yes ma'am, I will drop and give you 20 meow ups. They're just push-ups, but I meow instead of count.
You!
Yo, Mommy's back! God damn, that woman makes me feel some type of way. We also get to see Jita again, which is cool, but more importantly, he gives us something very awesome. Yo! Magnify materia!
After thorough deliberation, our council has decided to approve your candidacy. Congratulations!
Congratulations!
You candidate!
What the f did he just say? And finally get Kyrie to stop calling herself a merc. We also ride with the dolphins, we write kids' books, clear out our bucket list because it's more important than saving the world, and we also have the opportunity to help Vincent with Hojo's bullshit. We already got to see Commander Mommy, we need some daddy time too. In terms of really important side quest stuff, we do learn about Chocobo Sam's past after we win the Gold Cup because I will still beat you all in Mario Kart. And now we're a Hall of Famer for winning all the races. Continuing on our side quest journey, we start churning out Weiss Schwartz matches with Queen's Blood, and we inevitably beat Ladrell, the creator of Queen's Blood, who is a ghost, so I guess we also beat him in the game of life while we're at it. This will lead to the end of our Queen's Blood journey. We face Vincent, and then we go take on the Shadow Blood Queen, where Cloud goes full Yu-Gi-Oh! And starts throwing cards to kill evil blood gods. Average Wednesday, you know how it is. I complete all the games on hard mode at the Golden Saucer and everywhere else in the world, and then I can finally relax. Time for us to continue that main quest. We meet up with Dio and ask for the Keystone. And he tells us, well, I do have the Keystone, but the only way you're gonna get it is if you help me. You see, Don Corneo wants to take over the Golden Saucer, and Rude kinda beat the shit out of me, so I kinda need you to go beat the f out of the Don. And we were like, you know what? He's just a fat motherfucker, how hard could it be? But that'll be tomorrow. For now, we need to go see Loveless. No time like the present for a little R&R, right? This was pretty sick. We get to see a VR version of Jesty from when she used to actually work here. We do some D&D roleplay, and Cloud completely styles on people, and then Aerith steals the show with her voice. It doesn't really match Aerith at all, but you know what? The song's nice. But regardless, because we are minigame gods, we S-rank Loveless and get a rating of critically acclaimed, which also knocks out the 5-star hotel achievement because we have collected 60 collectibles to give to our good pal Johnny. And then we have a date with Aerith, and before you all hit me with the, wow, my steak is too juicy and my lobster is too buttery, I really wanted to date Tifa here. I had the affection maxed out with everyone, so I guess the game just defaults to Aerith. I would have preferred that Tifa kiss, but I'll take what I can get, I guess. The next section though, hell won't even sugarcoat it. It just fucking sucks. In the morning, we fight in the arena for Dio, but the devs either haven't heard of the word quit in their lives or they just hate us all personally. Thugs, dogs, tonberries, cactuars, you know where you get the breathing room? You fucking don't. Bruh. Why we got fucking Tonberry Corneo up in here? You finally go through the first wave of the fucking and here comes Don fucking Corneo riding in on Abzu once a fucking again. I didn't even get the chance to change my team for that, so I wasn't well equipped to handle this.
Time to stretch your stuff, ladies, and I want a good look.
Ew. Why are you so gross? Now you might think that's all because I'm being a little calm about it, but you fool, you utter buffoon, you naive imbecile. Here comes Rude and Elena wanting revenge for the mine. They yoink the keystone and play monkey in the middle where I damn sure I'm not getting this thing. Bro, why are they treating us like a fucking bunch of high school bullies treat their victims? We will fight them, and it's the same fight as before. I can't tell you if they have more HP this time, but I'm still not equipped for the fight, so it's another nightmare. I do get them taken care of eventually, and I felt pretty good about myself until fucking Billy May screamed in my face cause I'm not done yet. Because here comes Rufus Shinra. He wants the salty run back from back in the previous game. Another Cloud v Rufus 1v1. I did get the chance to switch my build around here, but once more, it's a load of bullshit because we can't do any major damage until Rufus is staggered. And when he does stagger, he only gets hit a few times before he reloads his rifle, grabs your arm, and shoots you in the face. And that's especially the case with the mods I added. If that wasn't bad enough, Billy Mays did say he would triple the offer, so here comes his dog. But wait, that was only 2. Yeah, we still don't have the counterattack sword that comes next chapter. You know, the weapon that was made to deal with Rufus in the last game. I really thought about quitting here. I was just so fucking over the game at this point. I took a break, and when I did come back, I did beat Rufus into submission. But god damn it, this game was really testing me at this point.
It's over. Look out! I'm not done yet!
Because Kate Sith steals the fucking keystone, hand delivers it to the Turks, and Barret heavily considers putting enough holes into the cat to make ground beef. And I would have let him, but the party stops him and Kate Sith leaves our party. But he didn't threaten Marlene and Aerith's mom this time, so hey, progress is progress, I suppose. Now that that's out of the way and I've had my ass beaten into a pile of fucking sand, we get more side quests. We can finally finish the Proto-Relic one in Corel, which is just 2 Cactuar minigames and a spar with our little gnome buddy to get the last Proto-Relic, and the Cactuar Crusher Chibo. Holy shit! I did not see that coming. And we do learn that the Proto-Relics are actually Gilgamesh's armor, but anyone who couldn't figure that out by now might be a little special. He challenges us on Gilgamesh Island, so we'll stop there in Chapter 13 before we clear everything up. For now, we head to port and end Chapter 12 with hearts out, dukes up, and a middle finger also because f this bullshit ass motherfucking chapter. At this point, the next 2 chapters are primarily story, and before we get into it, Cunard wants us to find some pirate treasure. This is only necessary because we need to craft everything before we can craft the Genji gloves. We'll come back to that. So we go to Gilgamesh Island because nothing is ever simple. And what makes it hard this time? Going back through all the summons and fighting them 2 at a time. Titan and Bahamut, Phoenix and Kujata, and then Odin and Alexander. I was expecting these to be a complete bitch, and don't get me wrong, they took a couple of attempts, but once you have the build I do, infinite ATB and Aerith hitting weaknesses like she's trying to pound their kidneys into making them piss blood for months, nothing really stands up to me.
Come in a twist, twist, twist.
Then Gilgamesh shows his face, and he has to be just fan service, right? It's playing Battle on the Bridge while you fight him, which is one of the most famous Final Fantasy songs ever, along with him talking about the Warriors of Light after you defeat him. Which, by the way, earns us his summoning materia and access to the Genji gear. This also gets us Chadley's best materia, including Swift Cast, which makes Aerith an even bigger nightmare for enemies, and we become the Bladesman of Legend. So now we go to craft the Genji gloves, only to be told that the materials they require are only found in hard mode. Yeah, a really fucking cool game for me to spend 200 hours on this absolute shitfest, only for you to tell me, oh yeah, do it again and you can have them. Fuck you. Go directly to hell, do not pass go, and do not collect 200 hours. Just go directly to hell. I hope you've made double house payments for the rest of your life just to not own your home, you piece of dumpster fun. I'm not playing this a second time for fun, so all the Genji items are fucking useless to me. Let's move on before I rant again. There's a few more side quests that we have to take care of, so we'll head to the Golden Saucer, though on the way we make a pit stop in Nibel to turn out our maxed piano minigame, which unlocks the final song that ya boy aced. Call me the piano virtuoso. I talked to Chadley and developed the rest of the materia we don't have for Materia Completionist and finished the trek to the Gold Saucer. And here is where our last quest is. And what do you think it involves? Who would have guessed more fucking mini games? So I replay every single one up to this point with harder score restrictions. Most were pretty damn easy except 3D Brawler, which I just suck ass at. This one took a few tries. I was actually able to clear it and wave the cape over my face. My job here is done, but that's actually a lie because our job is never done. This unlocks the 3D Brawler opponent, Sephiroth. And of course, there's an achievement tied to this shit. This took at least 30 minutes before I was actually able to see the light of day that is the end of this minigame. I can't stand this one, and I am so glad I never have to look at it again. Polygonal prize fighter, and all the side shit is done. On to the actual decent part of the chapter, the Temple of the Ancients had a massive glow up. We effectively go through with two parties, Cloud, Tifa, and Barret on Alpha Team, Brick, Yuffie, and Aerith on Bravo Team. The whole time, gravity gets switched around, we climb walls, ceilings, the MC Escher stairs, you name it. It really is an awesome dungeon, and every boss fight is actually pretty damn incredible. The Turks are all back together, so of course we deal with them in the way any endgame JRPG party does. Grotesque and unadulterated violence, yeah! Reno and Root are first, and they really toned this down since the remake. I mean, before, Reno was so fast I could barely comprehend what was going on because he was a constant blur on my screen. If I wasn't getting hit by him, I would have assumed my graphics card was bugging. This time is so much more manageable. He dodges 99% of attacks, but when a clean fireball smacks him in the face, he's pressured, so we can beat the smack out of him. The fight scenes are top-notch too, I might add. Bravo Team fights Elena and Sung, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Aerith and Yuffie are a walking nuclear bomb.
A weapon to surpass Metal Gear.
Elena already crumbles under any attack you throw at her, and Sung shot me like once, and then we made sure that what was left of him couldn't even be DNA analyzed. With the fight's over, Cloud attempts to show Elena that his sword is in fact classified as a guillotine. He's been getting more and more unhinged and rowdy as the game goes on, but given the story, I'm not really surprised. Elena's in luck though. The French Revolution doesn't claim one more in 2026, and she gets to keep her head. The rest of the temple is kind of unremarkable though, besides the stuff that happens near the end. Everyone except Cloud has to relive the worst things that happened to them, all their trauma all dumped on them at once. Barret losing his wife, Tifa losing her dad, Aerith losing her mom, and Yuffie losing Sonon. And of course, Red relives Hojo's experiments on him. Aerith gives a speech about how it's okay and everything's gonna be okay, and Cloud just has none of that shit and goes, yeah, whatever, shut the f up, black materia.
Are you finished? Clock's ticking. Come on.
So we rush in and Cloud starts breaking down and acting like a complete psycho. It takes the same progression as in the OG where Cait sacrifices himself so we can get out, but you know, he's a robot, so no big deal. After the temple collapses and Sephiroth shows face, Cloud doesn't commit domestic violence and instead just threatens it before he hands off the black materia, and suddenly Sephiroth sends Cloud and Aerith off a cliff, ending the chapter with, I'm here for you. We awake in another timeline, the one Zack's in, and everyone's kind of just accepted that they're f***ed 6 ways to Sunday. Though, with any luck, Aerith took us here to get the white materia from this timeline to send back with Cloud to ours, since hers is a little empty in our timeline. We watch Biggs die, and Zack makes his last stand against Shinra in 2 other timelines before they collapse. But there is one timeline where we see Zack contemplating what he should do instead. And that's the Zack that gets yoinked out of reality by Sephiroth, who is chasing Aerith. I'm sure you see where this is going. We get home-ish to our timeline, and the usual shenanigans ensue. Aerith goes to the ancient city to pray, and we give chase. Now this section doesn't take long, at least it wouldn't if we didn't have to take 6 hours on the boss. As we approach the area, we see more whispers and commence giving them the prison tactic. Several shiv stabs later, and everyone holds open the rift to save Aerith from the clutches of religion, but things go as they do, and Aerith gets the wrong kind of spit roasted by Sephiroth. That's when Cloud has this weird little mind break where he thinks that he deflected Sephiroth's blade and thinks that he rescued Aerith, and this just sets an awful tone for the remaining bit of the game. It's confusing and laughably bad to the point where I almost regret it. So we start our fight against Jenova like normal, but how does a side game of fucking 10 phases sound? Because that's the gimmick here, so let's fucking do it. Phase 1. Cloud and 2 others who will join depending on our affection rankings before Jenova just removes them from the equation until Cloud does enough damage. Wonderful mechanics. Once we do enough damage, we get on to Phase 2 with the same party members, except now it's a whole do it again condition, so it's just faster. This feels like it could have just been Phase 1 still. Phase 3. Things get fucking dumb. So the party gets split again, and I think it's based off affection. For me, the new Alpha team is Kate, Sith, and Tifa. Bravo team is Barret and Tomato, and Charlie team is Cloud and Yuffie. I think I got really lucky here because these teams are damn good. They each take on a different part of Jenova until that part is broken and then start the next phase. I kind of had issues with Yuffie and Cloud, mostly because Jenova just floods the field with bullshit like she's trying to give us a Hurricane Katrina flashback, but we eventually got through it. For Phase 4, we get another new group of party members and a new room. This time was Cloud, Kate Sith, and Barret. Barret tanked, Kate Sith used Moogle magic for free summons, and that helped a lot. And then we get to the intermission, where technically it's a new boss, but I'ma just call it Phase 5. So Cloud and Zack are in a white abyss that reminds me of the future. And while it's cool that Zack's finally here, I'm 4 phases deep and I'm just fucking over it already. Playing as Zack is actually pretty damn cool. He kind of just has every spell in the game though. I spent most part of the fight as Cloud because counterattacks are just too damn good, but you know, Zack is cool. We even get a new really awesome synergy attack with Zack and Cloud. God, I just really hope Zack's in the next game, like properly. Once Sephiroth does go down here, he becomes this gigantic motherfucker and stacks 3 of himself on top of each other. I just started wondering who put the LSD in my monster. Zack gets yeeted back to his own dimension, I think is what happens. And then Phase 6, Solo Cloud versus Sephiroth. We do the Dark Souls thing where we get as many ass stabs as we can until the cinematic plays, and then we swap back to our other party members. Phase 7 has Tifa, Kate, and Yuffie against Bahamut and Sephiroth. And Kate here was the MVP, simply because I have a re-raise materia on him and Bahamut has a one-shot ability. So only Kate goes down while he's able to keep the other 2 alive. Seriously, if it wasn't for that, I don't even know if I could have done this. Yuffie and Tifa are able to take down the big-ass dragon and break Sephiroth's wings before we get to Phase 8, Zack versus Sephiroth's inflated head. This section was likely the easiest, but probably the most tedious. Sephiroth does like 200 damage to Zack, meaning he just shrugs off literally everything. Kudos to him for having the damn good tank stats. But it also feels like it was the most tedious because Zack also does like 200 damage a hit. Not great when the enemies have 3 times HP. I know it feels like I'm glossing over these, but I want you to remember that this shit took 6 hours and honestly ruined my enjoyment for the last time here. Phase 9, Tifa, Barret, and Poppy are the team. This phase kinda just sucks. We have to break the wings again to break open his stomach egg thing, but I made a big mistake here. The only spells I have on anyone in this group are fire. So we're kind of forced to just spam our free spells we got from the early game, making this take way longer than it should. When it does switch to Ice Wings though, it's a little more tolerable and we can throw some fireballs at it and pick up another win. We do catch a few scratches here, but that's about it. Finally, phase fucking 10. This is the worst one. It's not even close. Cloud and Aerith versus Sephiroth, or her spirit, I guess. I'm not keeping track anymore. The main part of the fight was just learning the pattern, hitting counters, spamming Firaga, and all of that. Once at half health, Sephiroth casts Heartless Angel and sets Cloud and Aerith's HP to 1. I didn't know about this going in, and you can't switch materia at any point during this fight. So I had to do this all over again to switch builds and have Aerith cast Kiraga, while Cloud casts Firaga on her circle to avoid damage. And this shit show doesn't end here, because if we don't build enough ATB fast enough to break Sephiroth while he's charging Omni Slash, we fucking die. This time, I forgot Revive Materia. So take 3, Revive Materia in hand, and we just fucking tank the Omni Slash and use Aerith to bring back our corpse to full HP. And then it somehow gets worse. Once Sephiroth is knocking on death's door, he casts the End is Nigh. Ooh. This is where he releases a metric ton of lasers from his hand that do 2,000 damage each and shoot whispers at our legs like he wants us to dance. Those ones do 200 damage a tick, and he's shrinking the arena all while this is happening. Oh, you didn't kill him fast enough? Well, I guess he just one-shots you and smirks at the screen. Look, at this point, every furniture item in my home was sweating because I was about to throw myself against it until it broke. I'm not ashamed that this fight took me 6 hours, and I can't advise anyone do it with these mods because I actively hate myself for doing this. This honestly might be just as effective as waterboarding. I died to this piece of fucking dick cheese so many times, got him to 1 health and then just choked it. The only reason I was able to close out a win was because we had Aerith's flower still up and I double casted a Firaga and then hit him with a limit break to end this. This was the ultimate cancer of the run. And the worst part? The ending isn't satisfying at all. Cloud goes full denial mode. No, that didn't happen. Aerith is right here, smiling the whole time while everyone else grieves. He talks to her and then he slots the black materia into his Buster Sword and starts hallucinating that the sky is being torn apart like it was in Zack's timeline. Oh, it's just a disappointment all around. We don't even get to put Aerith to rest because of it. I seriously hope Revelation does a better job of this because, God, this just made me feel like it wasn't worth it even slightly. We do get our last story achievement, Confluence of Worlds, and can move on to our post-game grind. We do have a few more achievements to knock out though, so let's go over the post-game stuff real quick. First up was Staggering Success, which just requires us to get Tifa to bring an enemy to 300% stagger. Thankfully, Titan on hard mode makes this pretty damn easy, and while we're at it, we can start working our way through all of Chadley's combat simulations. This was insanely tedious, but eventually we'd hit level 70 for Grind It Out and finish our final combat challenge for Virtually Renowned. Of course, that's not the only set of combat challenges we need to finish, so we'll head back over to the Gold Saucer and knock out all of those for Are You Not Entertained? And speaking of the saucer, we still have to go back through all of the mini games on hard mode, which was once again just a whole load of tedious bullshit. But after finally finishing everything, we unlock Well-Rounded for maxing out all the characters, so yay. From there, all that was left was helping Johnny finish his little hotel collection and clearing the remaining chapters on hard mode. Honestly, the chapters were the easy part. We have the Genji gloves at this point, so we're completely overpowered, and Aerith was more than capable of making it through Sephiroth this time around for of-party stock. Then I just had to look up a list of collectibles for Johnny because I wasn't about to go hunt those down by myself for 7-star Hotel. Luckily for me, that's all of the achievements. We finally get the planet's hope for 100%ing this absolute shit heap. But of course, I wasn't going to leave it there. Take a look. I finished the entire playlog too because I love you guys that much. Having to take everyone out on a date, finish all the synergy attacks, and clean up every last little thing in the game was one of the dumbest things I've ever subjected myself to. And after all of that, I never want to touch this game again. But that's it. We've officially 100%ed Final Fantasy VII Rebirth with one of the dumbest challenges I've ever done. I'm giving this a 4.5 out of 5 on the difficulty scale. I'm really sorry this video took so damn long to get out, but I genuinely do appreciate you guys being patient with me. If you enjoyed this video though, don't forget to use my link or scan the QR code on screen to get a bunch of bonuses for your journey through Raid Shadow Legends. Seriously, you'd be helping this cat boy out more than you could ever realize. So please, go check him out. And of course, a massive thank you to my Ko-Fi and Patreon supporters whose names are flying across your screen right now. Banjo, Anima, Yo, Lux, Kuracap, Jverse1710, D-Electric Judas, Treetop Scoppin, Blashy, Circa, and Rem. I love you guys so much, and you genuinely mean the world to me. With all that being said though, I'm going to be streaming these runs pretty frequently over on Twitch soon, so definitely come hang out with me and the rest of the community over there. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and bye-bye.